Hello guys, it has been such a lovely and sunny day today, and I have gone out with my parents, and whilst I was out with my parents, again, you're out walking and you get a couple of tweets, or you get, for me it was a couple of notifications from Sky News on YouTube. And so I decided that when I got home that I'd watch it. I'm always nervous to talk about politics or to talk about particular people, because when you're talking about a person, it becomes really personal. And Shamima Begum is a figure that a lot of people's emotions are quite visceral with. On the one side, people don't want her because she's a terrorist and she's not naive. And on the other side, people think that we as Britain should take responsibility for what is partially our responsibility because we brought her up, as it were. It takes a society to bring up a kid rather than just a set of parents. To be honest, the Sky News just confused me. And I think they're trying to present Britain in a really nice light, because originally I thought the whole issue with Shamima's citizenship, British citizenship, was that she'd lost it because of her behaviour in joining ISIS. But she also lost it legally because the court ruling was not legal. Because she didn't really have Bangladeshi citizenship, that she could have had dual citizenship, which is very different to does have Bangladeshi citizenship. So with Sky News, they're saying that although Shamima does have Bangladeshi citizenship, she herself has decided that she doesn't, and that the Indian government has decided that she doesn't either. So it's now back to us. But either way, it's turned to British law to deal with it, to deal with this issue. On the one hand, I'm quite glad, because it means that we're kind of forced to create much stricter laws when it comes to terrorism and what we see as a terroristic act. When it comes to things like treason and treason laws, and deciding what should be the penalty for people who do this. Whether we really ought to have just a straight line across the sand and say, look, no matter what your age was, if you leave to join a group of people that are coming to deliberately kill British soldiers and British citizens, then you cannot be a British citizen. That you have lost your citizenship rights at that particular point. And I think for a lot of people, Brexit was about personal sovereignty. We as Britain, as England, as the United Kingdom, have sovereign law over who comes to our nation and who we allow in. A lot of the newspaper reports were very much like, if we weren't members of the EU, we would be able to, refuse to take in terrorists from another country because of human rights violations. Either way, Shamima is a really tragic figure in my eyes. She was 15 when she left with 2 friends who I think are now dead. She's lost 3 children, and partially one, down to her own refusal to allow the child to leave the camp and to go back to England. You know, and I felt really, I personally felt that was quite selfish, you know. But, you know, I am talking about a girl that I don't personally know, but I felt that the way that act was spoken about showed her to be using a child as more of a pawn than loving a child and not wanting to stop being a mum, you know. Now, whether the revoking of Shamima Begum's citizenship was, strictly speaking, legal or not, the fact remains is that if she has a legal right to appeal, which they've decided that she does, and that it was the wrongful decision, even though technically that particular type of court cannot reverse a decision previously made, it seems that there is a call for her to come to England and to face trial for the war crimes that she has committed and other things. Now, I struggle emotionally with this because I see that we allow people who have been kidnapped in places like Africa and Sudan and you know, lots of other areas where they kidnap a person and then they give you a certain price, put a price tag on their head, and if they don't pay them they get shot, or if they do get paid they still get shot and they just get the body back, you know. And I feel like that people go to great lengths to try and stop people from doing this. But, you know, in the past we've refused to pay terrorists for people. We've refused to pay kidnappers for the people that they've taken. And quite rightly so. So, you know, for me personally, I don't know how we can even consider paying taxpayers' money in order to take her into the country, keeping her safe, because that is, you know, that is part of our duty of care as fellow human beings, to keep her safe. I don't see how we can condone giving that finance up, but maybe that's because I'm taking this too much to heart, and I'm not looking at it in a more, well, she was 15, you know. You know, I'm not taking a step back and looking at it from her perspective. I did wonder whether, you know, the videos that she's seen on YouTube where she's talking about what she has done, she's very kind of non-vocal, non-verbal cues to her. I'm wondering whether that's because she genuinely is suffering to a degree from an emotional post-traumatic type stress where she can't really fully process everything that's gone on, because she's busy grieving for 3 children and 2 friends, and, you know, the loss of the relationship she's had with her family and, you know, everybody else around her in England, or at least some people, you know, people who knew her might, especially from the British Islamic community, the United Kingdom's Islamic community, may feel a huge knife wound to the back from Shamima's behaviour. It does make me question what went on in her head. And that's why I kind of came to the conclusion when I was reading Holly Madison's book, Down the Rabbit Hole, whether it's kind of like that. It was kind of sold to her as this romantic, fun-loving, you'll be safe, you'll have a nice house, you'll get a nice life, you know, all you have to do is marry a prince and you'll be happy type thing. Because she is 15, and although she knew that there would be some more, it would be exciting. And at the end of the day, it's a bit like, you know, peer pressure is a big thing. If you're in with a group that behaves in that way and you don't do as you're told, then, you know, your life is on the line as well. So could I really stay mad with Shamima for kind of protecting herself and the children that she'd had? I think the process of forgiveness is going to be long term, but I do still feel that there should be a long term punishment for people who do choose to do these things, because we cannot be seen to be lenient. It just leaves the public vulnerable to being blown up by people under the name of Allah. You know, Allahu Akbar, as they shout, God is great, which is why it's, you know, that memory, that internalized memory becomes so viscerally painful to people that they, you know, they become a bit Islamophobic because of that. They don't, you know, they don't want to hear that kind of thing around them, because it reminds them of a trauma that cuts really deep, and that could be whether you're Muslim or not. So I'm not sure that Shamima should be allowed back in person. I don't see why we can't have the video call with her. But then I suppose if you're gonna reverse a previous decision made and say that she does have the right to appeal the decision, the ruling, then if she's a citizen, then I presume that she has to be allowed to come here. Unless, you know, the fact is that I think we just need to make our laws more secure, more structured around this particular problem of terrorism, because unfortunately it's a reality of our times. Well, there we go. I do hope that you do something a little bit more light-hearted, and you know, if you do like my presentation of my attitudes, or at least if you do like my channel, I would be honoured if you could subscribe and share with people who would also be interested in my channel. You know, I know I'm not the biggest celebrity or the prettiest girl on the block, but it's just nice to know that I have people's support, and that people are interested in what I've got to say. I have a presence. So see you later, guys.